Network News. I'm Elizabeth Banu. Thank you for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to the global fight against the threat of nuclear terrorism. The president stated this while presenting Nigeria's position at the 4th Nuclear Security Summit in Washington, D.C. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who addressed the plenary session of the summit behind closed doors, praised President Obama's pace-setting initiative and drive in the fight against the threat of nuclear terrorism. He said Nigeria will continue to support all multilateral efforts aimed at promoting a common approach and commitment to nuclear security at the highest level. The president said already the legal framework for fighting terrorism has been strengthened towards ensuring the implementation of more robust counter-terrorism measures in the country. Nigeria, he also said, has reinforced its cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency, the U.S. State Department, and other relevant global institutions towards enhancing nuclear security. President Buhari announced that a program to ensure that radioactive sources in the country are better secured has been developed towards preventing unauthorized access by terrorists and other criminals. The Director General, Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority, Professor Lawrence Dim, was at the summit.
The problem that is being discussed is in Nigeria. And Nigeria will stand to benefit by cooperating with the international community in dealing with this scourge. So it's a very huge interest. Nigeria should even also champion this in Africa.
Participants at the summit are expected to endorse plans towards strengthening and enduring international institutions and initiatives that support nuclear security for global peace. From Washington, D.C., Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Barack Obama has challenged world leaders to do everything within their power to kick ISIS and other terrorist groups from ever getting their hands on not only nuclear, but any weapon of mass destruction in the interest of humanity. It was at the opening of the 2016 Nuclear Security Summit in Washington, D.C. President Muhammadu Buhari is among the nearly 60 world leaders at the summit. Here again is Adamu Sambo.
The broad goal of the summit, fourth in its series, is to ensure international cooperation towards addressing the threat of nuclear terrorism by minimizing and securing weapons-usable nuclear materials. This, according to President Barack Obama, who initiated the summit in 2010, is to prevent the illicit acquisition of nuclear materials by non-state actors such as terrorist groups and smugglers. He told the world leaders, including President Muhammadu Buhari, that if any terrorist networks succeed in getting their hands on a nuclear device, the consequences for the world would be catastrophic.
If these madmen ever got their hands on a nuclear bomb or nuclear material, they most certainly would use it to kill as many innocent people as possible. And that's why our work here remains so critical. Just the smallest amount of plutonium, about the size of an apple, could kill and injure hundreds of thousands of innocent people. It would be a humanitarian, political, economic, and environmental catastrophe with global ramifications for decades.
Nuclear terrorism, President Barack Obama said, is a perfect example of the 21st century security challenge that no one nation can solve alone, hence the need for coalitions and sustained coordination across borders and institutions. The Prime Minister of Holland, Mark Rutte, who hosted the last edition of the summit in 2014, said significant progress has been made towards making the global community safe from nuclear terrorism.
International cooperation and commitment continue to grow. The material that is out there is being made more secure as more countries turn the IAEA's recommendations into national legislation.
The bottom line here is that the world leaders cannot afford to wait for an act of nuclear terrorism before working together in a concerted manner to share best practices and raise standards towards guaranteeing nuclear security for a safer world. From Washington, D.C., Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Back home, Nigeria's sovereign wealth comprehensive income increased by 67% in 2015 to 26.3 billion naira despite slow economic growth in the year under review. Managing Director of Nigeria's Sovereign Investment Authority, Uche Orji, who disclosed this in Abuja, also reflected on the fund's fiscal position and investment activities for the year. Leah Katung Babatunde reports.
Nigeria's infrastructure master plan put the nation's infrastructure stock to GDP ratio at 30%, with a need of about 485 trillion naira to bridge the infrastructure gap to at least 70% within 30 years. Investment by the nation's sovereign authority in 2016 will focus on 5 key infrastructure sectors to include agriculture, healthcare, motorways, power and real estate. Mr. Uche Orji says the task ahead seems tough but surmountable.
But we also promise that as we get new capital and we also look at what are priorities of the nation, we will continue to revise these areas with a view to expanding and adding some sectors.
2015 recorded strategic investments, especially in private equity. It was a year characterized by high volatility and global market uncertainty. The authority observed that currency turmoil, dwindling oil prices and acceleration in growth across markets created a difficult investment environment, but says the overall results were positive.
I'm encouraged by the fact that we continue to see sustained interest from most of our co-investors from outside.
$250 million of additional capital was approved by the government for allocation by the authority and was received in February. According
is that adulteration is suspected. Yes, we've seen it.
The director of the department, however, advised motorists who were waiting to buy the product to exercise patience in order not to cause chaos. In Abuja, Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari says the Police Week celebration presents a unique opportunity for Nigerians to unite with the police in remembering and celebrating fallen heroes and heroines of the force who have gallantly laid their lives in protecting the citizens and guaranteeing peace and internal security of the country. The president stated this in a message to the grand finale of the Police Week held at the Eagle Square here in Abuja. Bonaventure Wodo reports.
The president said no police service in the world, no matter how well motivated, equipped or trained, can successfully operate without acceptance and support of the citizens.
Effective policing of a community is dependent on the level of security consciousness of the citizens and the strength of the synergy that exists between the policing agencies and the community.
In tandem with the President, Inspector General of Police Solomon Arase says the essence of the police work is to remember its history as well as an opportunity for the force to reconnect with the people for more effective policing.
The essence is to remind police officers that their efficiency rests solely on their knowledge and history, to which they shall come with the people whom they are paid, trained, and directed to serve and protect.
The 2016 Police Week was the second in the past 30 years.
There can't be continuous operations without having a period of relaxation and exchange of ideas and reviewing of what we have done before.
You need to keep showcasing your talents, what you have, the wherewithal, the equipment your employers have given you.
The occasion attracted other service chiefs, traditional rulers, and people across all walks of life. In Abuja, Bonaventure Wood, NTA News.
The federal government has expressed deep concern over the incessant fire outbreaks in different parts of the country. Minister of Interior, Lieutenant General Abdulrahman Dambazo, stated this while condoling the government and people of Gombe State over a recent fire incident which destroyed properties worth millions of naira in Gombe Fruits Market. The Interior Minister said there is need to deepen collaboration with state governments, noting that fire service falls into the concurrent legislative list. He said an extensive dialogue involving all stakeholders is needed to build a platform and also retool the nation's fire service architecture at various levels. The Nigerian ambassador to Cameroon, Hadiza Mustafa, is advocating workable regional maritime diplomacy that will enhance safety and security in the Gulf of Guinea. Ambassador Mustafa stated this on board Nigerian Navy ship Okpabana in Douala, Cameroon. Defense correspondent Muhammad Abdul Kadir reports.
Ambassador Mustafa identified fleet recapitalization as key driver for anti-piracy fight in the Gulf of Guinea. She described the Nigerian Navy participation in exercise Obangame Saharan Express as strategic to winning the crude oil fight on the nation's territorial waters.
It's an opportunity for our military and especially the Navy to show that we have full control of our maritime domain. We have the power. And it is also a very good way of promoting maritime diplomacy.
Meanwhile, Nigeria ranked top among the cooperating navies in the performance index at the end of the US-sponsored regional maritime exercise.
I've also seen that our capacities in terms of physically engaging vessels at sea. You can see within the last 6 months, we have engaged not only Maximus. Maximus has been celebrated, but we have submarine.
52 ships and 31 aircraft featured during the exercise. Leaders of participating navies drawn from 26 countries resolved to come up with a new response plan based on multi-agencies mechanism to tackle threats on their territorial waters. From Cameroon, Muhammad Abdul Kadir, NTA News.
And the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, says the Nigeria Air Force is adopting new strategies in its joint operations to combat insurgency in the country. Air Marshal Abubakar said this during a familiarization tour of the Air Force Comprehensive School, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, South Nigeria. Clement Barikui has details.
The visit of the Chief of Air Staff to Air Force Comprehensive School, Uyo, was part of effort to reposition institutions and formations of the Nigerian Air Force for optimum productivity. Addressing officers and staff of the institution, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar congratulated management of the Air Force Comprehensive School, Uyo, for the academic achievement recorded by the institution. On the
Minerals Development, Kayode Fayemi, in his lecture titled Solid Minerals and National Development in Nigeria, Implications for National Security. Defense correspondent KG Busari Ahmed reports.
Delivering a lecture titled Solid Minerals and National Development in Nigeria, Implications for National Security, to the course 24 participants of the National Defense College, Dr. Kayode Fayemi expressed concern over the level of illegal mining activities scattered all over the country as it affects the economy and national security.
What has been lacking is enforcement. We have more robust legal and regulatory landscape as far as mining is concerned. However, we haven't paid significant attention to enforcement. They will feel safe and secure, and they begin to contribute as active citizens to the security landscape of the nation.
The commandant of the National Defense College, Rear Admiral Samuel Ilesomi-Alade, said the Nigerian military will continue to support the sector in the area of strategic leadership training and security.
Issue of support to Ministry of Solid Mineral, there's no question on that at all when it comes to the armed forces. We train officers to become strategic leaders.
It is obvious that the country has enough legal framework on the solid mineral resources, but the problem seems to be implementation. From the National Defense College, KG Busari Ahmed, NTA News.
With over 70% of the road traffic crashes recorded during the Easter celebrations associated with overspeeding and tire blowout, the Federal Road Safety Corps is calling for an urgent control on the importation of tires into the country in order to curtail the importation of substandard tires. Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi stated this while briefing the media on the Easter operations in Abuja.
Easter being one of the challenging periods for the FRSC as a result of increase in traffic, especially on highways, the FRSC has put up measures
to ensure that travelers get to their destination safely. Giving update on the operation, the Corps Marshal noted that there is significant improvement compared to last year. Within the 6-day operation, 6,223 traffic violators were apprehended, while in 2015, the number was 7,794. The number of road traffic crashes also dropped from 115 to 98, and the number of people who lost their lives also reduced by 9%.
The number of assaults on our personnel is increasing. During the Easter patrol, we lost one of our personnel that was knocked down. He's a senior officer and died. The assault on our personnel is increasing, and I'm going to press for maximum charges in respect of this. For the mere fact that we are not bearing arms for now does not mean that the drivers and road users should take liberty to be assaulting our personnel. We are going to work with the Federal Ministry of Justice to press for maximum punishment to get them prosecuted. And we'll work with the police too so that the criminal charges can be filed against them.
With the support of the federal government, the Corps Marshal promised Nigerians that 2016 will be a better year in terms of having safer roads.
The Sultan of Sokoto and Chairman, Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Mohammed Saad Abubakar, has challenged Muslim public officers to be vanguard of propagating their religion. The Sultan gave the advice when he joined other Muslim faithful to observe Jumat service at the newly built mosque by Nasfat in Abuja. Saliu Abdullahi reports.
Addressing members of the Nasrullah Fatih Society of Nigeria, Nasfat, Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar commended the exemplary role of the Islamic organization in uplifting the standard and norms of Islam. He encouraged similar organizations to come out with ideas that will fast-track the propagation of Islam and strengthen unity among the diverse culture and religions.
There's no big man, there's no small man in the eyes of Allah. He created all equally. And he said the best amongst us is he who is most pious. So piety is what Allah determines who is going to be closest to him on that day. So let's try to be good to ourselves. Let's try and help one another.
At the event preceding the 2 Rakat prayers, leaders of the Islamic organization have promised to build on the core objectives of promoting religious harmony, peace and security. Thereafter, the chief imam of the newly built Jumat Mosque, Sharafuddin Abdul Salam Aliagan, led worshippers, including the Sultan of Sokoto, to observe the 2 Rakat prayers. Earlier in his sermon, Imam Aliagan spoke on the significance of building a place for worship and reminded Muslim faithful that anyone who builds a mosque, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will build a house for such person in heaven.
One of the ethics of the mosque is, one, you cannot enter into the mosque without being pure. Make sure you are on ablution before you step into the mosque.
Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Head of Civil Service of the Federation calls on civil servants to join the fight against corruption. We'll bring you details when we come back. Stay with us.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
When you look at the world today, brands that we have as a country, and we have to take advantage of that.
Look inwards and see how we'll be able to enhance our resources.
The problem now of Nigeria is man-made. It's just a question of patience and cooperate with the government. Nigeria will go back to those better days.
The man who's leading us, he wouldn't talk much, but he does a lot.
We shall deliver security, jobs, and infrastructure.
This is the right of all Nigerians. Our actions will speak for us.
Join the Airtel family today and get 5 times the value of every recharge. Recharge with *555 *PIN hash on the Airtel network and feel at home. Airtel, the smartphone network.
With Jai's Cost Plus financing, my business is better.
With Jai's Mudaraba savings, my money is safer.
With Jai's Cost Plus financing, my business is better.
With Jai's SME finance, my business is better.
With Jai's Cost Plus financing, my farm is better.
With Jai's Home Finance,
our house is better.
Jai's Bank, for a better life.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. The National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Maimala Buni, says there is no division in the party. In a statement, he referred to the alleged matter, saying it is false and unnecessary distraction to the party's resolve to support the president in his quest to deliver the dividends of democracy. The statement added that the amicable resolution of issues at the recent NEC meeting is a justification of the bond of unity among its members, and stressed that only the APC national chairman and the secretary are authorized to speak for the party. In order to deepen Nigeria's democracy, there is an urgent need for a comprehensive reform of the electoral process, particularly with the use of card reader. This was among the submissions by stakeholders at the public presentation of the Quick Count Final Report for the 2015 Presidential and National Assembly elections organized by the Transition Monitoring Group, TMG. Joseph Johnson reports.
The 2015 general elections have come and gone, with the drama, intrigues, tensions and uncertainty that enveloped the atmosphere gradually disappearing. But to further put the records straight and perhaps clear lingering issues, if any, regarding the 2015 Presidential and National Assembly elections, the Transition Monitoring Group, TMG's report contains statistical information and vital details relating to the voting process.
Nigerians must collectively address the fundamental issues which cause the equation of the elections to moments of national crisis, capable of sending the nation as a corporate entity going into extinction.
Papers presented and representatives from key sectors of the economy in their goodwill messages lauded the initiative, stressing that it offered a scientific basis for making conclusions about the realities of elections.
Citizens and domestic actors must take a lead in the process of election observation.
The Quick Count Final Report for the historic 2015 Presidential and National Assembly election is a testimonial to the triumph of team spirit and, of course, a call on Nigerians to
urged every civil servant to view himself as the epic civil servants, an acronym for efficient, productive, incorruptible, and citizen-centered. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Network News. Health tops contributions from Lagos as Health Minister inspects centers there. And Jennifer brings us details. It's over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening and a very warm welcome to Lagos. More prominent Nigerians have continued to pay their condolences to the late Dr. Tunji Braithwaite in Lagos. Tunde Saiki reports that among personalities that visited today were the former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Senator Ben Obi, and Commodore Ebitu Ikue, retired.
The visitors described the late politician as a man of honor, whose legacies should be imbibed by the younger generation.
A leader of us, a father of us in Lagos has passed on. But we have the responsibility to carry on his preachings, his belief, his principle, his philosophy for very strong commitment to humanity.
The exit of the political field marshal, the light that does not fear any darkness, the most courageous and forthright Nigerian politician that I've ever met.
Others described the late Dr. Tunji Braithwaite as a resolute personality who fought doggedly for the downtrodden. Meanwhile, the family has released the burial program for the late Dr. Tunji Braithwaite.
The burial will take place at Reverend Braithwaite Memorial Anglican Church, Papa Ekpe.
Dr. Tunji Braithwaite is survived by a wife and several children. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
And to health, Minister of Health Professor Isaac Folorunsho Adewale has assured Nigerians of government's commitment to improving health facilities across the country for better healthcare delivery. He gave the assurance when he met with heads and staff of various federal health institutions at the Lagos Teaching Hospital, Luth, in Lagos.
The minister, who earlier took a tour of the facility at Luth, commended management of the hospital for the ongoing renovation and rehabilitation project at the hospital. In separate meetings with the health workers and the media, Professor Isaac Adewale emphasized the need for constant power supply. He said the PPP power project, which commenced last year, will be commissioned in no distant time in order to improve the power situation on the facility. The minister also directed the hospital to operate a flexible system with a view to decongesting the accident and emergency unit, as well as evacuate patients within 24 hours.
Once we give first aid treatment, move them out to the wards, or discharge them if they are stable.
The health minister also promised that out of 30,000 primary healthcare centers across the country, 10,000 will be revamped within the next 2 years.
In 2012, Nigerian agreed to implement what we call primary health care under one roof. And in 2012, we committed ourselves to doing this. So what we are doing as an administration that is new, that is poor-friendly, is to make this happen.
The minister also addressed the incessant strike action by health workers and the latest on Lassa fever. The minister had earlier toured the facility at Luth, where he visited the accident and emergency unit, power projects, cancer center, labor ward, and the theater.
From health to Ports Matters, the managing director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, NPA, has flagged off the enforcement of minimum standard haulage trucks calling at the Lagos ports. The managing director, who performed the exercise at the Premier Port Apapa, said the primary objective is to ensure safety and security of ports users. Ademola Adioye reports.
For some time now, there have been incidences of falling trucks, killing innocent citizens, as well as creating untold hardship for motorists and residents. The flag off and enforcement of minimum standard for haulage trucks doing business at the port is to reduce such incidences and entrench accountability and public safety. The managing director of Nigerian Port Authority said the standardization is part of the core responsibility of the NPA.
It's just to ensure that all the vehicles that are getting in are of international standard and that they are safe and secured and, as I said, in good roadworthiness.
So far, over 2,000 trucks have complied with the minimum standard.
Some truck owners may be kicking against it. What they are kicking against actually is not, and I'm repeating, it's not the roadworthiness of the vehicles. It's just the 10,000.
The General Manager, Western Port, acknowledged the cooperation of most of the stakeholders, stating that others have also keyed into the exercise.
3. Serve as a security measure to prevent any threat of security breach to the port in compliance with ISPS.
We are collaborating with NPA. We believe in their dream for minimum standard, and we are in support of the 10,000 naira levy as a form of entry permit per annum per truck.
The managing director also stated that there is no going back on the 10,000 naira entry permit for truck owners at the port. In Lagos, Ademola Adeoye, NTA News.
And to business. Experts have described the 2016 budget as a reflectionary package capable of stimulating the economy. Abdullahi Mohammed has details on business news.
Hello, thanks for being there. You're on to business news. Economic analysts have described the 2016 budget as a sufficient package that will stimulate the economy and provide the necessary infrastructure expected to support business activities. The analysts, however, observed that this must be followed by diligent implementation. The 2016 budget, which is a little above 6 trillion naira, analysts say reflects the commitment of government to stimulate economic growth with a view to checking the growing level of poverty and unemployment.
I think there is sufficient stimulus package in the budget, particularly the bit about the safety net for the poor. About 500 billion is in there, which for me is impressive. That's 9% of the whole budget, or approximately 20%, about 30% of the capital budget.
Look at the historical trends of the budget. Gives the impression that it's likely to have some measure of reflationary impact on the economy.
Another school of thought, however, states that the size of the budget compared to the economy, which is estimated at 100 trillion naira in value, may not have a significant impact.
Also to make a serious impact on this economy.
Joe, come collect my job.
We seem to be having some challenges from our Lagos center. Now, as part of efforts to implement the broadband expansion, the Nigerian Communications Commission has announced plans to auction 14 slots of the 5 MHz frequency next month for the provision of whole and retail sale broadband services. Amaka Awo reports that the Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, Professor Umar Garba Dambata, disclosed this at the ongoing Enugu International Trade Fair.
According to the Nigerian Communications Commission, more than 152 million lines are active in network as of December 2015. This, the Commission says, makes it imperative to address issues confronting telecom consumers, from drop calls to unsolicited messages, billing complaints, and internet speed. Speaking at the Commission's special day at the Enugu International Trade Fair, the Executive Vice Chairman, Nigeria Communications Commission, represented by the Director of Public Affairs, Mr. Tony Ojogbo, said the trade fair provides an opportunity for the Commission, through its Consumer Affairs Bureau department, to interact and solve problems affecting consumers of telecommunications services. He identified inadequate power supply, multiple tax imposition, and vandalism of telecom infrastructure as factors affecting quality of network, adding that number portability and complaints platform of 3-digit 622 will provide solutions to some problems faced by customers.
Current Executive Vice Chairman, Professor Umar Garba Dambata, who on arrival at the Commission instituted a task force to take a comprehensive overview of the factors militating against the quality of service with a view to addressing them effectively.
The Commission's Day at the fair featured raffle draw. Winners were presented with smartphones and free recharge cards. Officers of the Commission also visited the NCC stand and had an interactive session with the media.
The Nigerian Communications Commission has urged the general public to assist security agencies in protecting telecoms infrastructure by reporting cases of vandalism. From the International Trade Fair in Enugu, Amaka Owo, NTA News.
The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, has reiterated its commitment to supporting the cause of all political parties with a view to promote democracy. The Director News, NTA, Aliu Bababaro, stated this while receiving a delegation from the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, on behalf of the acting DG, Mr. Philip Ofuegu.
When you have divergent views and interests, which democracy is well known for actually, you tend to have a great deal of challenges in order to project the interest of the individual parties, individual political elites, and what have you. But so far, so good. You've been able to manage the situation very well. And NTA will continue to partner with you in order to have true representative democracy that will usher in functional development of the people.
The chairman of IPAC, Bashir Yusuf Ibrahim, stressed that the organization's mandate is to bring political parties together to regulate and conduct themselves to ensure sustainability of Nigeria's democracy.
To look at the health of our party system and to set for ourselves targets and benchmarks for improving this system, which will be reviewed every year.
The meeting also had members of top management of the NTA in attendance. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, says the federal government will support the growth of small and medium-scale enterprise to create an enabling environment for unemployed youths in the country. Dr. Ngige stated this at the Enugu International Trade Fair. Amaka Awo reports.
The minister visited the National Directorate of Employment stand at the fair to inspect finished products produced by beneficiaries of the various skills and acquisition training centers across the country. Dr. Ngige emphasized the need to revitalize the non-oil sectors of the economy as an alternative to the dwindling revenue from the oil sector. This, he said, informed the federal government's decision to initiate measures aimed at encouraging growth of local industries.
The federal government will not compromise in its resolve to enforce the enabling regulations barring the importation of certain goods.
The Director General, National Directorate of Employment, Mr. Kunle Obayan, said programs organized by the NTA have enabled unskilled and unemployed Nigerians to engage in productive ventures.
In 2015, about 30,774 new jobs were generated under ND's training programs and their related schemes.
The 27th Enugu International Trade Fair provides a platform for beneficiaries of the NDE program to showcase their crafts and encourage patronage of made-in-Nigeria goods. In Enugu, Amaka O, NTA News.
We've re-established links with Lagos. It's over to you now, Jennifer.
Welcome back to Lagos. It's now time for us to join Abdullahi Mohammed for business news.
Hello, thanks for being there. You're on to business news. Economic analysts have described the 2016 budget as a sufficient package that will stimulate the economy and provide the necessary infrastructure expected to support business activities. The analysts, however, observed that this must be followed by diligent implementation. The 2016 budget, which is a little above 6 trillion naira, analysts say reflects the commitment of government to stimulate economic growth with a view to checking the growing level of poverty and unemployment.
I think there is sufficient stimulus package in the budget, particularly the bit about the safety net for the poor. About 500 billion is in there, which for me is impressive. That's 9% of the whole budget, or approximately 20%, about 30% of the capital budget.
Look at the historical trends of the budget. Gives the impression that it's likely to have some measure of reflationary impact on the economy.
Another school of thought, however, states that the size of the budget compared to the economy, which is estimated at 100 trillion naira in value, may not have a significant impact.
For us to make a serious impact on this economy, we should be looking at how to get the private sector capital to support what the government is doing. So that is why it is important beyond appropriation. We should be looking more at the issue of policies.
The way forward, therefore, is for the government to set in motion policies and initiatives that would attract capital inflow. To successfully implement the budget, economic analysts insist that there is an urgent need to cultivate a discipline of adherence to timeline, ensure that budget assumptions are realistic, and do away with bureaucracy. And that's business news this evening. Thanks for being part of it. The news continues shortly.
Thank you, Abdullahi. This is the Lagos Network Center of the NTA. More reports ahead on the news from Abuja after this timeout. Stay tuned.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
My father said opportunity knocks every minute. He used to say to me that even the rising sun is an opportunity. A man must give each day everything. I live by those words. Just 1 minute of one day can change everything. Every day he stepped out with the belief that today might just be that day.
At FCMB, we believe every day is a new opportunity. Let's help you step forward and take it. FCMB, my bank and I.
My daughter, you are a star. May you be the secret ingredients that makes a happy home.
Maggi Star, made from natural soybeans and other carefully selected ingredients, prepared in a way only Maggi knows. That's why for generations, Maggi Star has been the secret that brings out the rich taste and aroma in local soups. With Maggi, every woman is a star.
Nestle, good food, good life.
The application of the Procurement Act 2007 has saved the nation 680 billion naira between 2009 and 2014. To this end, participants at the National Conference on Public Procurement are calling for the sustenance of the anti-corruption campaign through public procurement. Abdullahi Garba reports.
Experts believe procurement represents 22% of the gross domestic products and 49% of the nation's expenditure goes into procurement. With the enactment of the law on procurement in 2007, Nigeria sanitizes the process to ensure transparency and value for money. This conference, the second of its type, is to instill on the procurement officers the best practices in the process and sustain the anti-corruption drive.
The public expects the government to carry it out efficiently and with high standards to conduct in order to ensure high quality service, if we will, value for money and safeguard the public funds.
Making sure that whatever you want to do is fully advertised for people, competent people who can do it, to tender for it.
For us to discuss on issues pertaining public procurement, and we agree, we develop strategies, and we share ideas.
In a message, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir David Lawal, urged all tiers of government to follow suit in enacting the law. As at the last count, 25 states have so far domesticated the procurement law in their respective states, and this conference is another platform for the states and the federal government to create synergy in the issue of procurement in Nigeria. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
Civil Defense Corps arrests pipeline vandals in Bayelsa and Ogwa in Port Harcourt brings us details. It's over to you, Owa.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening and welcome to Port Harcourt. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Bayelsa State Command, has apprehended suspected vandals allegedly involved in the explosion at a pipeline in Oluboboro community in southern Ijaw local government area, which left 3 persons dead. The command paraded suspect at the NSCDC headquarters in Yenegua, Bayelsa State. Nkem Ije was there for NTA News.
It was a Black Easter Sunday at Oluboboro community in southern Ijaw local government area of Bayelsa State when a pipeline belonging to Nigerian Ajib Oil Company exploded, killing 3 persons with 7 others severely injured. Briefing newsmen on the result of their investigation, Bayelsa State Commandant of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Mr. Desmond Ago, revealed that the explosion occurred after a technical crew from an oil contracting firm had concluded work on clamping a ruptured section of the Ajib pipeline.
The repair team had successfully completed the clamping exercise on the damage point, and we are leaving when explosion were heard in the nearby forest. The arrested suspect will be tried and prosecuted according to the law.
The paraded suspect, however, pleaded innocent of the incident, despite affirming that he was part of a gang. The NSCDC has reiterated its resolve to clamp down on oil bunkers and saboteurs of critical national assets in Yenegoa, Nkem Ije, NTA News.
Well, that's our beat, Elizabeth from Port Harcourt. Back to you now for the rest of the news. Good evening.
Thank you, Owa. Up ahead, global tidbits, sports and weather update. We'll be right back.
The production, distribution and sale of counterfeit and fake drugs is a corrupt practice and a crime against humanity. This has informed several measures and strategies to combat fake drugs, including introduction of anti-counterfeiting cutting-edge technologies to detect fake drugs on the spot. These technologies are being deployed to all the states across the Federation, as well as the internally displaced people's camps. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, and his team are committed to this fight.
The federal government of Nigeria, in line with its anti-corruption agenda and posture, will fight a total war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products in order to ensure that Nigerians remain healthy and well.
Lend your support and join NAFDAC to rid the country of fake drugs and unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Now to global tidbits with Chimdima Ndubisi.
And hope expressed in January after the World Health Organization announced that Liberia is Ebola-free has suddenly nosedived with the latest confirmation by health officials that the death of a 30-year-old woman was caused by Ebola virus. And after South Africa's Constitutional Court ruled that President Jacob Zuma has breached the Constitution by failing to pay back public funds used in renovating his personal home, opposition party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, is squaring up for a showdown with the president at the parliament. It promised to push for his impeachment and early elections to be held. Outside Africa, recently attacked Brussels airport's proposed partial reopening on Friday has been stalled as policemen staged an industrial action. Lack of adequate security measures in place for the reopening was the reason for the protest. In another development, the struggle for gender equality is gaining an upper hand with the Bombay High Court ruling that women have the fundamental right to enter and pray in any temple in Maharashtra, India. That's Global Tidbits. Chimdima Ndubisi, NTA News.
Talking sports now, Sports Minister Solomon Dalun calls for more proactive approach to developing the sector. Kenema Bodike has details of this and more on Sports Update.
The Ministry of Youth and Sport is working towards reforming Nigerian sports to ensure it meets the expectation of Nigerians. Addressing journalists in Abuja Friday, Minister of Youth and Sports Development Solomon Dalum said situations where sports administrators put self before country will no longer be tolerated, appealing to sports federations preparing for Olympic qualifiers to always inform the ministry in good time to avoid problems.
So what is ahead of us now is camping and then final preparation for the Olympics. So far, 54 athletes had qualified from the official reports I received in Rio. Others are still also qualifying. So before we leave, we may have more numbers than the 54 that was given.
All set for the 2016 International Table Tennis Federation ITTF World Tour tagged Nigerian Open, which serves off April 2 and ends April 3 at the National Training Center of National Stadium, Lagos. Former champions Svetlana Kuznetsova of Russia and Belarus